This is Becca, Becca K. Becca was a classmate of mine in UC Santa Cruz. We had an environmental studies class together. Um, I remember, yeah, she gave a presentation. We all had to give presentations in front of the class, and hers was on fossil fuels, which I had no idea. I hadn't thought about how universities who claim to be environmentally friendly and whatnot, can actually have their money invested in bad ways. So at the time, I was also looking for other groups to to find belonging in, or just to do extra things. So I was interested in this group. I went to one of their meetings and I was introduced. I liked the group. The people that were there were interesting. They were all friends, and I think I got to consider some of them, friends. And with Becca, we didn't really interact much. We were in the group together, but you had your thing, I had my thing. And then after college is when I invited Becca to join a multi-level organization, a networking company that is kind of like a pyramid scheme, right? Where you get other people to join, and at the same time you sell services. And yeah, we just I kept inviting her to participate in some of my projects because she showed a little bit of interest, like she was also the entrepreneurial type. So I invited her to create a Facebook page to promote her environmental efforts. And then she joined my Seven Pillars group, which I still hold seven pillars in my heart. They are what I live by. They are my principles in life, the seven pillars. I'll talk about them at another time. But anyways, Becca was there and she participated. She's always been supportive of my projects. And at one point, Becca, you projected one of the tasks I had in Seven Pillars was to say how you envisioned yourself in a year from that time. And then when that time came, to reflect back. And something interesting I found was that about 90% of the projections that people made actually came true. And
Wow.
40 people posted how they saw themselves in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So then I invited Becca to a YouTube channel I was creating where we'd have people of different backgrounds creating content of different types. She was one of the very few that made a video. And now I invited her onto my channel, and here she is. So tell your story, Becca.
Yeah, hi, Isvan. Thanks for having me on here, and it's good to see your face because it's been since college since we've actually had FaceTime. These days, we're getting more of that while less actual physical interaction. It's interesting. So yeah, I guess you kind of summed it up nicely. Our relationship. Yeah, I'm currently living in Bend, Oregon, which is my new city to call home, and it's amazing. Most people in California or in other very populated parts of the world aren't familiar with this part of the country. It's kind of a little paradise secret,
Wow.
So, oops, I'm letting the secret out, but it's incredible.
How is it a paradise? Can you describe it?
Yeah, 100%. It's an adult playground, essentially. So it's similar to San Diego in that it's full of microbreweries.
Okay.
So I think there's like 30 breweries here in a town of 100,000 people. So some big names. We're in Deschutes County, so Deschutes Brewery is the pillar, the original one. We've got Crux Fermentation Project, Avid Cider, Immersion Brewery, 10 Barrel, Boneyard, the list goes on and on. So if you like beer, it's great. But more than just the alcohol culture, which isn't terrible, it's just fun. We've got so many opportunities for outdoor recreation here. So I learned how to ski this year, and that was incredible. 30 minutes from the most beautiful mountain. I'm biased. I haven't seen them all, but one of the most beautiful ones on the West Coast,
Wow.
and probably just in the country because the East Coast, I hear, doesn't have great skiing.
How is it compared to Big Bear?
Oh, well, there's a lot more snow. So, for example, Big Bear tends to have to make snow every year. And I did end up going skiing in Tahoe this year as well, which is, for Californians, the greatest. But they had very, very low snow levels. I forget what the numbers were. I got lucky when I was in Tahoe. We got hit with a snowstorm. But Mount Bachelor is the mountain here, I think had like between 80 and 90 feet of snowpack
Wow.
throughout the season until it was curtailed by COVID. So I think, Southern California, it's not nearly that great. It's probably somewhere between 20 and 30, and that's a totally wild guess. But you can look it up and see. We're definitely spoiled here. That's one of the things. Cross-country skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing. Those are all some of the winter sports that you might find yourself engaging in here. And then in the summer, I live a block from the Deschutes River, which is incredible. People surf the river, kayak, stand-up paddleboard.
It's like a camping trip, but permanent.
Yeah, boating, fishing, fly fishing is a huge thing to do here. I haven't tried that yet.
So what do people do for a living there? Make beer? Fish?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, of course. There's actually, Facebook has a headquarters about 20 minutes outside of town. What? It's called Prineville. Yeah, so there's kind of like a hidden tech scene here, and it's growing and growing. Actually, I'm currently working just as a cocktail waitress because I'm new here, and it's a great industry to be new in a city, and you can meet people and have very flexible schedule while still making good money. Mm-hmm. Some people that I met as regulars in the bar where I work founded a company called Dutchie, which is a software that they sell to dispensaries so that those dispensaries can have optimized delivery services
like in
to
Uber
sell their
Eats
product.
For marijuana.
For marijuana, exactly. Yeah, so that's really cool. So there are definitely some tech startups as well as, the culinary scene is growing and growing. We're just 3.5 hours driving from Portland, which by no means are we anywhere near Portland when it comes to the food scene, but it's getting better every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, how was your experience at UCSC overall? How would you rate your experience there and the career of environmental studies?
Yeah, UCSC was incredible. I speak so highly of my experience there, and it was so valuable for me just becoming who I am today and enjoying life. And the city of Santa Cruz is such a beautiful town. I love the outdoors, being outside, so all of that really was solidified through my experience there because of the access to the beach and the mountains and all of that.
What are your most memorable experiences there?
Oh, probably being new on campus. So one of the things is I did transfer to UCSC. So I feel like I missed out a bit on kind of the dorm life for the first 2 years because I never lived on campus. But I just remember going when I first went to visit and walking around the forest on campus there and just being awestruck. It's so beautiful how you can walk from class to class and you're basically on a nature hike. That you can't get that everywhere. That's really special. So it holds a very magical place in my heart. And it was the impetus, like the beginning really of my environmental activism, right? I chose to study environmental studies there.
Why did you choose environmental studies?
Well, growing up in San Diego, I am blessed that I was raised going to the beach, and my dad was always a gardener, and he just kind of taught me, my parents weren't really religious.
Your dad was a gardener?
Sorry?
Your dad was a gardener?
He gardens, like he has a vegetable garden.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a gardener as for living.
Not professionally, no. No. Yeah, just
my dad did gardening too. I had that background.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's really nice. I think it's it's so special because, these days with so many people growing up in cities, most people don't have that experience of being able to go to the yard and pick a fresh fruit or vegetable, and taste what that tomato off the vine tastes like. That's such a special thing. And so my dad really cultivated my appreciation for nature at a young age. In addition to in the garden, also just on the beach, like picking up trash and respecting the ocean and Mother Nature in so many ways. So I realized, it's funny actually, when I was in the 5th grade, I used to give my friends a hard time for littering. They would throw trash on the ground, even in elementary school, and I'd say, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't do that." And they'd be like, "Oh, somebody's going to pick it up. We have janitors." I'm like, "No, that's terrible. You can't do that." So something I've always been passionate about, and it's just grown and grown over the years. And as I've learned about all of the environmental issues we face today as a society, I've just felt really strongly that I need to make that my life's purpose, to do something to help protect this beautiful planet.
The way it went for me was, ever since I was a kid, I always got A's in all my classes, right? School was always easy for me. And when I got to my senior year was when I took environmental studies. And that's the first time that the problems I was asked to solve were real.
Wow.
Because geography, English, French, math, physics, physical education, they all tell you this is the problem, what's the solution? But here I saw, holy crap, I thought the ocean had dolphins. That's what I read in books. I thought 70% of the earth was water and the rest was land, but I didn't know the land was all city, and each year we're losing so many trees and we're killing all these animals. I'm like, I like animals. What's wrong with these people? Are these people twisted in the head, or what's the deal here? So I like to fix things by nature. Ever since I was little, I like to invent things. I've been like a scientist since I was little. I knew I was a scientist way before I even knew what the word was.
You're a problem solver.
I'm a problem solver. So when I saw that class, I was like, all right, here is something I can enjoy. I like solving problems, so let's do this, Let's tackle this situation. So that's why I chose to study environmental studies. And it's interesting how you were raised. You've been a kid, an environmentalist since you were a kid. That's insane.
Very different, because school didn't come naturally to me. I was a bit of a rebel back in the day. School was never my first priority or the first thing on my mind. I was socializing, and to me, laying on the beach was what I wanted to do all summer long in high school, and every day, I'd sometimes skip class and go to the beach because that was just the best thing in the world, was being by the ocean. But, it doesn't matter how you realize it, but once you do have that realization, and having that path forward is huge. So that is interesting to see.
So you had this, ever since you were a kid, you knew what was right, what was wrong in terms of the environment. You went to school for it. You learned everything I learned, basically. We did the same career in environmental studies. And then you come out of it, and are you disappointed because you realize, like, holy shit, there's really nothing I as an individual can do? Or are you empowered like Greta Thunberg, or what's her name?
Yeah, Greta Thunberg.
Who says, who's also in part luck, that the way things turn out for a person to be such a celebrity nowadays. And even then, how much can you do? It's like you were this person as a kid, you went to school, you became a different person because now you had the science to back it up, the knowledge. And coming out of it, who are you now as an environmentalist?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do, with all of my heart, believe that there's a lot that every single one of us can do as individuals. And I think that the hardest thing of about being passionate about the planet and sustainability, and protecting ecological systems is looking at all of it at once. I think it's inherently depressing and can really put somebody in a bad place and make you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, just us talking about that being our goal and you being such a problem solver and saying this is the problem I'm going to solve. We can't do it all though, right? But we can every day do little things to make a difference, like the simplest things, like just unplugging our electronics at night. So one huge way that I've made an impact and felt good about my lifestyle over the last few years is adopting a plant-based diet. Because the amount of water and pollution and also greenhouse gases from animal agriculture is out of this world. It's right up there with fossil fuels, right? So if you think,
It's above it.
I'm going to ride my bike today instead of drive, even just that can empower you, but not only does it mean you're doing something good for the earth, you're doing something good for yourself too, because a great bike ride, boy, the benefits for your mental health and just like the fresh air and getting a little bit of exercise, it's all so positive. So I keep positive knowing that there are those little things, and I ride my bike or walk to work every day, although I only work a couple days a week these days, lucky me. So yeah, I'm lucky to live in a community where it's pretty small still, and so I live in a location where it's all accessible by bike and walking and foot and whatever mode of transportation. Just I don't need to drive a car. We share a car, so I use it, a couple times a week to do errands or go grocery shopping.